Good morning, I'm Laszlo. It's 7:59 a.m. June 4th, and I'm getting ready to go. Bought this yesterday, so I can eat food. How are you doing, guys?
How was it? Nice.
This is the front door to my dorm. That's my friend Wesley. He was originally going to be my roommate before I got single. Czech Republic likes dogs, and you can take them anywhere. And a lot of them don't have leashes, they're just wandering around the streets, which is cool. It's the morning.
The 57 and the 59 are your night trams. They're the only ones at night, so remember those numbers.
Oh, this is where they have
Yeah, see, I don't know if it was a talk show, but see that camera, it was actually being used yesterday, and there's people in those seats. It's cool.
the American guests.
And then like high five.
Yeah.
Maybe I just have bad teeth.
I think when we're like
I was got this.
Oh yeah.
oh gosh, can you
I thought I was.
I feel like you're in downtown.
Stores.
It's tiny. It's a little baby door. It's like being John Malkovich. You.
There's an old man up there. Oh boy. This food is so good. We keep eating other people's food because we're not finishing it.
Going up the hill backwards.
Oh, graffiti is legal here because freedom of speech is important. Sandwiches. I like sandwiches.
Yeah, everybody likes it.
Dubs. Oops. Oh, I'm filming still. Forgot. I was filming, but...
by France and by England. Czechoslovakia had a treaty with France that if something happened and somebody attacked, they would come to defense. Well, what happened was that part of the border area of Czechoslovakia, a huge border area from the south all the way to the north, was German speaking. A lot of Germans lived there. So Hitler wanted to retake that part of Czechoslovakia, which was called the Sudetenland, in southern land of Germany, where there was a lot of German-speaking people. So England and France connived together to give that part of Czechoslovakia to Hitler, right? Without any Czechs being in the bargaining table. There was really no bargaining, right? So France and England said, you know, if we appease Hitler, we can prevent a war. Well, they appeased Hitler, and that didn't prevent a war, because once Hitler got the Sudetenland, he did U.S. used that to invade the entire country. So 1938, 1939, Hitler takes over, and this country is then under Nazi rule. They call it a protectorate of Bohemia and Moravia. Hitler took away the name Czechoslovakia because Slovakia became its own country. Hitler gave them their own sovereign country. Well, they hooked up with Hungary actually, because Slovakians are more close to Hungary than they are to this part. So Hitler takes over in 1938, 1939. So from 1939 until the end of the war, 1945, it was really a protectorate under Hitler. A lot of repression, a lot of tyranny. The Jews, and you're gonna go see this at the Jewish Museum. There used to be like 120,000 Jews here in Prague that time. Now there's only about 50. Most of them were killed by the, in the concentration camps. So that's from 1938 to 1945. In 1945, the end of the war, the Russians liberated Prague. It's an interesting story because the U.S. Army, General Patton, the tanks came here first, but they were in Pilsen, a little bit to the west of Prague. And that they had made a deal at the higher end that the U.S. was going to stop there. They were going to allow the Russians to come in, liberate Prague so they can get the credit. Right? But the U.S. military had arrived in this area first, but they were made to stop at Pilsen and they didn't come into the city to liberate it. So the Russians now became the liberators of this part, the Czech lands. They liberated this land from the Nazis. So they got all the credit. But 3 years after that, 1948, this country became a communist country. And it was ruled, the Soviet Union was ruled by Stalin at that time, a very powerful and ruthless dictator. And once again, this land fell under another dictator and a system of government that did not allow democracy or free speech or anything else. So the country was ruled by communist governments between 1948 and all the way to 1989. But in '68, and it's very important for you to understand, historically, since you're here in the Czech Republic, you have to understand this, because it happened here too. In 1968, they started a liberalization movement, a reform movement. Even earlier, Jana knows in the early '60s, filmmaking here was very, very important. Yeah, Czech new wave of films, new expression, ideas, opinions. Writers were writing what they wanted. Artists were drawing paintings that were not necessarily what they call socialist realism. They were expressing themselves as never before. And the Soviets in Moscow said, "Wait a minute, they're going a little bit too far. If we allow this to happen in Prague, in Czechoslovakia, then Hungary and East Germany and Romania and Bulgaria and Poland, they're going to want the same thing." So on August 21st, 1968, the Soviets, along with the Warsaw Pact, other communist countries, invaded Czechoslovakia. So just when they were once again beginning to have a little semblance of freedom and expression, the Soviets thought, no, we can't allow this to happen because then all the other countries under our domain, under our sphere of influence, as they call it, are going to want the same thing. So we have to come to a stop. So tanks came in here, and the whole country, but tanks came in here to the square, and they invaded Czechoslovakia. And once again, from '68 on, it became even more repressive. No freedoms whatsoever. People were jailed, people were tortured, people were put in prison for their opinions. And after that, a few months after that, on January of '69, in protest against the Soviet invasion, a young student your age, 21 years old, philosophy student, by the name of Jan Palach, decided to do something to try and protest the invasion of the Soviets. So he stood up here, poured gasoline over himself, and he burned himself to death. And I'm going to show you where the memorial is. Follow me, I'll see the memorial to Jan Palach.
changing as well. In America, it's like covered in pennies.
She has her, a scarf, and she has her bag to her neck. Now, one thing you'll notice is that 3 out of the 4 statues are carrying books. And that's very significant because this land here, very educated, very creative, very ingenious people, very intellectual. So that's what the books represent, the knowledge, and that's one thing very important to find out about this land is that the people that here are very, very come from a long tradition of intellectual capacity, of creativity, writing. And right here, in this bush over here behind it, we're gonna go there right now, are 2 pictures. One is of Jan Palak, the student that first killed himself, burned himself, and another picture of another Jan, Dijik, who did the same thing just a few months after that. And during communist times, people used to come and put flowers there, but they used to be arrested. The story goes that Václav Havel, the dissident who was against communism, and after communism was over in '89, he became the first president of Czechoslovakia. The story is that in January of '89, which was the year of the Velvet Revolution, but the Velvet Revolution didn't take place in November. In January, he came and laid flowers there, and that was his last stint in prison. He was put in jail just putting flowers at the memorial over here. So you're going to see 2 plaques to the 2 Jans that killed themselves in protest of the Soviet invasion of this country.
Moral of history.
The yellow hotel on the right you're going to see is Art Nouveau. But one very important thing is that one of the styles, architectural styles, is conspicuously absent from the square. Don't tell me this. What one style of architecture won't you see in the square and why? Okay? You won't see Baroque. Can anybody tell me the reason for that? Baroque was the style most associated with the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Catholic kings. Baroque. And this is a square for Czech identity. And purposely, there's no Baroque here. You see Baroque in the Old Town Square, but no Baroque here.
You see a little place to go in it.
If I learned digital, I wouldn't know what any of this does or how it translates.
Right.
The way the light affects the sensor.